Hello, good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us. You're watching Galaxy Today, coming to you from Galaxy Television. My name is Justin Akadomi.
And of course, I'm Uche Uche. One morning to you, and welcome to Galaxy Today. Okay, so we are all looking towards Saturday, where we can see or decide who becomes the next president, and of course, who takes a seat of power as elections are just drawing closer. Okay, Justin, looking at what has been happening so far, we all know that apart from the fact that the election was postponed, a whole lot has been happening. People have been out there complaining. Some people are gingered to want to vote, and some feel like, okay, there's no need to vote. Let me just relax, just be at home. But from what you said, do you see any kind of unrest around you, or do you think people are actually waiting for Saturday?
Well, some people are waiting, but a lot of people that have sampled their opinion are saying that they might not be able to go back to where they traveled to for the elections. They talked about economic issues as per finance and all of that. But some of them are still saying that no matter what, even if ILEC shifts the date again by another 1 week or 2 weeks, they are ready to vote on the election day, no matter how long it takes. They are resolved to go out and vote the candidate of their choice. That's what people are saying. But just yesterday, the president was in the news as he gave directives on ballot snatching, and it has actually resulted in a whole lot of reactions from different stakeholders, from the opposition, from civil society, and a lot of Nigerians are greeting that particular statement with with the mixed reactions, and we'll look at that. We'll take a break and bring you that highlight of what the president said yesterday. But the People's Democratic Party has expressed concern over President Buhari's directive to security agencies to be ruthless to anyone who tries to snatch ballot boxes in the forthcoming elections. The party expressed the concern in a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbodiyan, in Abuja on Monday. The party described the directive as a direct call for jungle justice, attempt to divert public attention from the APC's plot, perfected elections rigging and political violence. Said Mr. Buhari, speaking during the Emerging International Caucus meeting of the All Progressives Congress on Monday in Abuja, warns that anybody who snatches ballot boxes during the forthcoming elections will do that at the risk of his or her own life. Ologbodiyan, who alleged that the directive was a threat to the lives of Nigerians, expressed hope that it was not a camouflage for mobilized fake soldiers to shoot at innocent Nigerians, snatch ballot boxes, and execute the APC's rigging plan. To be looking at that, and of course, or the development concerning the 2019 general elections, and like always, we will take a panoramic view from our correspondent in Sokoto, Kano, Ogun State, and Oyo State to bring you up to speed as regards preparation. We have a guest also here in Lagos, but let's just take highlights from the president's speech yesterday. To join us again.
Because I was told of the decision of INEC about 4:35 in the morning. The way the security and other protocols mobilize people ahead and leave them behind when I'm moving, all the same, I had to just tell them I'm leaving, and I left. And I think my statement at the airport, I think said it all. And I don't want to go into too many details.
Their own voluntary decision. And it is difficult to accept that for all of those periods, that INEC did not know what ought to be where, at what time, in order to guarantee free and fair election. So the more explanations INEC chairman did, the more questions that were left unanswered.
Addressing a cross-section of stakeholders in Abuja on Saturday, February 16th, INEC chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu explained the myriad of challenges faced by the commission, which includes the number of political parties, candidates,
All right, welcome back. It is still Galaxy. Today we'll bring that report to you as subsequently as that's more reactions trailing the elections postponement as put together by Judith Irenwa. All right, in Lagos here we have a political analyst. He is also a legal practitioner. Many thanks for joining us. Let's make welcome Barrister Curtis Adigba. Thanks for joining us on Galaxy today.
It's good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, let's follow the trail of what happened on Saturday. Let's start with that. The postponement of elections and people's reaction and how you think this may affect Saturday election positively or negatively?
Well, let me say that, like most Nigerians, I was disappointed. I'm still disappointed by the turnout of events. But you know, it takes more than just emotion to build a country.
Yes.
It is a difficult task to build a country. And only those who are dedicated to the cause of building the country ultimately build the country. So, in as much as I'm disappointed, I've been able to bottle my personal disappointment because I'm looking up to something higher than my personal emotion, which is the welfare and the well-being of the Nigerian state. And so I'm much more than ever fired up to go out there and cast my vote on Saturday. Now, when I heard about the postponement, what it did to me initially was take me back 8 to 12 years down the lane. Because, you know, we've been battling with this same problem over the years. In 2007, we didn't even have an election. Votes were just allocated, you know. The then president, the winner then, Yaradua, was allotted 24.6 million. Okay. Buhari 6.6, Atiku 2.6. That was what they did. And so when we moved into 2011, you know, with the promise of a better performance, I was on the queue like some people already on my way when I saw people on the queue already, and then they were told that, oh, the election had been postponed. So 8 years down the line, you would think that we'll put up a better performance. More so that the INEC chairman kept saying, I've seen no reason why we're going to postpone. And so it happened, and that's why it was more painful, you know, and gut-wrenching for a lot of people. But I think Nigerians are resilient people, should be able to go out there on Saturday and cast our votes.
Okay, let us talk about the development from yesterday's APB's caucus meeting where the president allegedly called for the life or death of those who intend to snatch and ballot boxes. He specifically said they stand to, okay, let me just quote verbatim. On Monday in Abuja, warned that anybody who snatches ballot boxes during the forthcoming elections would do that at the risk of his or her own life. Don't you think it's like a little too harsh, that particular statement credited to the president?
Abnormal situation requires abnormal handling.
Even the life of the citizens.
And let me tell you what the problem is here. Nigerians are in love with fake outrage.
Fake outrage.
Outrage.
Okay.
And outlaws will hide behind fake outrage to perpetrate their crime. What is the difference between the statement the PDP made by saying, if this election is rigged, Venezuela will be a child play compared to Nigeria? Where was the outrage when that comment was made? You know what is happening in Venezuela? Where the lives of millions are at risk just because of one man. You understand what I'm saying? And then the president says, look, the security agencies will be ruthless with those who want to snatch ballot boxes. Who are the people who snatch ballot boxes? They are criminals. Are there no laws for dealing with criminals? If he says the security agents will be ruthless, who is intending to snatch ballot boxes? Did he say, did he direct his anger to the PDP alone? It wasn't specific. He said whoever across party lines. So why is the PDP, you know, cherry picking? Why do they go on the offensive? Very outrageous comments from time to time. And then they start to mansplain and cherry pick on some small issues. Are they intending to send people out there to snatch ballot boxes?
Okay, but then again, let's just look at what the law says, because the president said that he's ordered the police and other security agencies to be ruthless with anyone. But what does the Electoral Act 2010, say concerning, the snatching of ballot boxes? I'm sure it did not say anything about the deaths, prescribed death for any electoral offense. I'm thinking it was about 24 months in prison.
The president did not prescribe death. What he said. What we have done is to stretch outrageously the comment he made. He said the security agents will deal ruthlessly. And when you do so at the risk of your life.
Well, what does that mean?
Legal?
No, he didn't say they should go out there and kill you. Let me tell you, I read online social media platforms last night where some lawyers were trying to mansplain and all that, citing some section of the Constitution that talks about the use of force in trying to prevent a crime. You understand? And in the process, people could die. Do you understand what I'm saying? People don't understand what it means to snatch ballot boxes. Yes, it's actually stealing the destiny of a people.
But
It is worse than going into the bank as an armed robber and rob. Because, and when you say an armed robber, who is robbing in the bank? Okay? And the security agents move in, trying to prevent the robbery. Okay? Do they have to go and kiss the man? When the man is also firing at them. Those who go to snatch ballot boxes don't go with empty hands.
Are you saying that?
They come there armed. But the point I'm saying is,
Yes.
the president actually did not call for the killing of anybody.
So what does it mean when he said them they would do that at the risk of their own life?
Look, when you
That
commit
they might die?
whatever crime you commit, you are doing it at the risk of your life. When you go to burglarize people's houses, you are risking your life because they can turn on you and kill you in the process. You understand what I'm saying? So what is it that makes the opposition party and some Nigerians to think that they have the right to churn out outrageous remarks from time to time? And that the president of the country, yes, I agree that he occupies a much bigger position and he should be modeling empathy, sympathy, compassion, tact, and all that. But we must also understand that the president is like the swan. You know the swan? The bird called the swan.
Yes.
When it's on top of the water, it presents you with some serenity because it looks like nothing is happening on the ground.
Okay.
It's just on the water gliding. But the reality is that the legs are working. The president occupies two positions here. He's not just a candidate. He's also the president of the country. The security and the welfare of Nigeria is his responsibility. So some others can go out there and be careless and say those things. He has also got to make comments to stop some of these things. And let this be very clear to all Nigerians. If anybody is out there planning to steal or snatch ballot boxes next Saturday, they should be careful.
All right, we'll come back to you, but let's quickly go to Ibadan and get reactions. We are being joined by Kazeem Bolarinwa. He is a public affairs analyst. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Bolarinwa, as we look at issues developing on the 2019 general elections. Our guest here in Lagos has actually given his own perspective concerning what the president said about being ruthless to people who intend to snatch ballots and boxes on election day. Let's get your thoughts on this particular issue.
Thank you. You're going to agree with me that the youth has always been used as an instrumentality when it comes to making or mar and to make or mar an election. Now, going by how it is right from the onset, you're going to agree with me that if there is any success story as far as election and electioneering processes is concerned, then you cannot dissociate such process or such success from the youth. And if peradventure there is failure, of course, as it were in some instances in the past as well, you can still not dissociate the instrumentality of the youth in ensuring that such election was a failure. So you see, if at this juncture of electioneering processes and political system, there is still a youth or anyone out there thinking of snatching ballot boxes, I think they are only trying to put Nigeria on the public domain as a country that is not even developed yet, because you're going to agree with me that when we talk about developing countries, Nigeria is actually a country that is a force to be reckoned with. So if at this juncture we are still thinking of not having a fair and credible election, then I think we are only setting a bad example for other countries of the world, most especially in Africa, because you're going to agree with me that Nigeria in Africa is like the America of Africa. So you see, if right now we still don't, we are not still boastful of a successful election, you see, I think it is problematic. And of course, you're going to agree with me that there are so many political parties that what they are basically planning to leverage on is snatching of ballot boxes, unleashing mayhem on some set of people in order to gain some unfair political advantage. And you see, at this level of us in Nigeria, trust me, it is not applaudable, it is lamentable, and it is condemnable.
With you, because you're standing on the purview of the youth and the perception concerning elections now. But judging by what has happened on Saturday, and as Nigerians look forward to going out on Saturday again for the polls, do you see active participation by the youth in this rescheduled election?
Of course, to a large extent, the youth would still participate. But I'm going to say that the partisan youth would mostly participate compared to someone that is really not partisan. And the reason is because a lot of people actually see Nigeria as a failing country. While some of us, we are so optimistic about Nigeria's present and the future of Nigeria. I just hope that the governments of the day and the governments to come will not put our optimism into shambles. You see, a lot of people, going by the survey that I've even conducted, as a youth leader, are already discouraged to vote. However, we are still sensitizing them to vote. No, we are still telling them that you cannot feature in a future that you cannot picture. If you are seeing Nigeria as a successful country tomorrow, then you need to begin from today to be part of the future of tomorrow. Contribute to your own quota today. It is your own quota that you even will be proud of, and eventually you'll be able to make reference to. So you see, those that are willing to vote last week traveled, you're going to agree with me that a lot of people traveled from different countries, in fact, different states. I know a lot of them. Some even come to their respective states in Nigeria because they want to contribute their quota to the success of not just their state, but Nigeria as an entirety. And now imagine, the election was now postponed by 7 days. Which means that anyone that has actually traveled for the purpose of coming to just vote, exercising that civic responsibility for a day, with a plan of going back, let's say a day or two after, automatically we have to go without accomplishing that mission. Now tell me, if you are in their shoes, are you trying to let me know that you still do the same thing by coming back next week again? It's not everyone that would do that. The only person or the only set of people that would do that are those that are truly, in the real sense, patriotic. And you see, when we talk about patriotism, when you continually remain patriotic and the country that you are being patriotic about is not giving you anything impressive in return, there would be a time that patriotism in you will be weakened, and there will be nothing to even invigorate it unless you see excellence. And trust me, with the way it is going, excellence is not achieved. Why do I say that it's not assured? Why do I say that excellence is not assured? Excellence is not assured because the parties, of course, let's say the ruling parties or the parties of the current administration, and maybe the one to come, if they retain or if they move to the next level or whatever, they are still on a daily basis having problems with each other, throwing stones at each other. If this continues, sir, trust me, those that are even patriotic, that are not partisan but patriotic, would even lose that patriotism. So I dare say that a good number of people out there are willing to vote, were willing to vote last week, are still willing to vote, but the percentage has dropped, if not drastically, but substantially.
We've been joined by Kazim Bolayiwa. He is a public affairs analyst. He joined us from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, to share his thoughts about developing issues concerning the 2019 general elections. We do appreciate it. We'll still join our other correspondents across Nigeria for their own update. Let's stay with Barrister Curtis for a bit now. He was talking about excellence and assurance of excellence for the forthcoming elections, the rescheduled ones for Saturday. With all that has happened so far, do you really think we will have credible and per excellence polls?
Look, INEC says the motivation for postponing the election was to ensure that they do it well and do it well for Nigeria. And I want to believe them. I am not one of the people out there who are working so hard to corrode the infrastructure of our democracy. They're trying to cast aspersion on every process and destroy everything just because political exigency now, and they think it gives them advantage. The fact is that look, we do have problem with some of these things. But I have not seen any country in the world that do not have problem. People have problems. How you deal with the problem is what is important. But what we do here is, if it doesn't work for us at the moment, we want to destroy the entire institution just because it's not working for us as a group or as an individual. And that's very, very, very sad. You know, when we're talking about the statement by the president, I want to remind you, we live in a country where a governor went to a rally with a cutlass and saying, look, go and cut off their heads if they try to rig election in this state. Where was the outrage? So why do we have this selective outrage? Why do we have these conflicting moral values? You know, why do we allow our politics to dictate our values and not our values dictating our politics? This is where the problem of this country lies. So if it favors you now, it is good, no matter how bad it is. If it doesn't, you remember a time in this country where a governor who was seeking for a second term in an election, while the election was going on, issued a public statement rejecting the outcome of that election and accusing INEC of being biased. Then the results eventually came out and the same man was declared as the winner. And he embraced that result and celebrated it. That is how proud we are. You know, we have an election that has no single vote has been cast. But you have a former head of state already casting aspersion on that election, saying one person is not the other person, and that if this is tried, the country will burn. And then the president comes out and says, look, if you are going to snatch ballot boxes at the risk of your own life, which is a criminal offense. You know why they are in love with what the electorate provided as punishment? Because it's hardly adequate as a punishment for what people do in this country. Or you know, you commit this crime, they take you to the court, and they walk their way through the court system. You understand? And the people walk away. And so tomorrow, you know, they are emboldened to go out and do the same thing, just because the punishment is inadequate.
So are you calling for stiffer punishment for maybe perpetrators of election crimes?
I am calling for that. And beyond that, I am calling, you see, let's look at it this way. When you go to the bank using maximum force to steal money that does not belong to you, when the policemen or soldiers come to confront the armed robbers, what do? Do they put down their own guns and begin to plead with the robbers? So when you go to a polling booth armed with weapons, deadly weapons, to snatch the way and the wish of the people,
okay,
should security men come and plead with you? Is that what we are advocating? There's no way in the world where this will be the model that the security agencies will adopt.
Okay, but what if we already know that these are things that may happen, and we decide to plan ahead, like more like a preventive measure.
Yes.
Instead of saying if it's stolen, this is what will be done. Why not try to do something that would avoid it?
So this is where we should be moving. Society is progressive, and progress is incremental. There was a time we never had the card reader and the PVC in this country. You just go, you vote, and then they give you the ballot paper. At some point, we had this innovation. You now have the PVC, you have the card reader, and you go and slot, and it gives all your details. We're having a party that is saying we don't want to use the card reader. We live in a country where we look, to conduct election is a difficult job, but it's even much more difficult in Nigeria because of the mindset of an average Nigerian who wants to win every contest he goes into. I am a lawyer. The MBA is less than how many? We're not up to 100,000 in Nigeria. Membership of MBA. We chose to vote via phone. Is it that what we did? Is it not having problem? Those who lost are challenging the winner. So all Nigerians, majority of Nigerians today have phones.
Okay.
Phones that are registered to you. We've been asked to go to NCC and register our SIM card and all that. If you want to introduce electronic voting today, some people will not agree with it.
Okay.
But the country will have to move on.
Okay, Barrister, we'll come back to you. That we have to go to Sokoto State. We have yet another guest joining us. He is James Atokba. He is the chairman, Western Community PDP in Sokoto State. Many thanks for joining us. He actually represents non-indigents in Sokoto State. Good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us and staying on the line. We're looking at the major development precursor to the 2019 general elections. That's the rescheduling and all of that. Okay, the People's Democratic Party is saying that the president's statement are calling for very stiff punishment for people who might want to snatch ballot boxes is not what we should be having, going by what the electoral law of 2010 is saying. But our guest in Lagos has actually called for stiffer punishment. That way it will actually make a whole lot of people not even want to try. Let me get your reactions concerning that.
Thank you very much. We are not out to snatch any ballot box or boxes. Since we started our preparation for 2019, since we started our preparation for 2019, we never had problem. If not, we started our World Congress, from the World Congress to local government Congress, state Congress. It was only the National Convention in Borakot. When we got to Borakot, we had problems. Which is a Sheriff, and that convention was postponed. So after some time, we went back again. It was not possible. Later, we got it right finally in Abuja. And since then, we have been working smoothly, trying to get our executives on board. The National Convention, the final National Convention, which produced our presidential candidate, which is the former vice president of this country. That is Vice President Atiku Abubakar. We succeeded in Abuja.
Concerning what the president said yesterday, calling for stiff punishment for people who may want to perpetrate electoral crimes by snatching ballot boxes.
Anybody who does that, punish him. We have no objection to that. Have you gotten me?
All right, we'll try and reconnect with Sokoto State. We've been speaking with James Atokba. He is the chairman of Resident Community PDP in Sokoto State. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today. All right, let's still talk with Barrister Curtis before we take a quick break now. With the postponement and all of that, a lot of people have actually adduced a whole lot of economic and costs to this rescheduling. A lot of people, lots of political parties are also complaining that it will affect them economically. What do you think on this postponement? What's the impact of this particular postponement on the economics of various political parties?
First and foremost, the political parties will stop double speaking.
Okay.
On one hand, they were the one who compelled INEC into granting them extension to their campaigns.
Okay.
Because if you recall, during the interactive section, the INEC chairman had said no more campaigns. And so you didn't need more money, okay? At least openly to go and woo people. And then they requested for another window to campaign. Do you understand? And INEC granted that was yesterday. So if they are crying over funds or over anything, I think that's their kettle of fish. They need to settle that on their own.
But how about the masses?
But for the masses, I do sympathize with a lot of people who have had to travel. I wish that over time they had asked INEC to transfer their ability to their location for voting into where they are now resident. I mean, it's not their fault that they didn't do it. They could have done it for whatever reasons, I don't know. I will still want to plead with them. Rescuing Nigeria is a task that we must carry out. And they shouldn't just look at the cost to them at the moment. They should be looking at the future.
I was coming there. I wanted to ask that, do you not think this postponement is going to affect, let's look at the markets now. I mean, simply because the election was postponed on Saturday, and then by Sunday, Monday, we paid double for whatever it is we're buying. And if we understand the market very well, it looks like whenever there is an increase in...
it doesn't come down.
It doesn't come down.
Yeah.
So do you not fear that this might be...
Again, this is a peculiar Nigerian problem, that we want to take advantage of every situation, no matter how unconscionable and how inhuman it is. Why would prices of things go up just because an election was postponed, especially for stocks that you already have in the shop? And for me, really, I'm progressive minded. I'm looking for a period in this country where we can be having elections and people can go about their normal businesses. That we don't have to stay at home. I'm also looking for a period in this country when INEC will be unbundled, and the only role INEC will play is that of monitoring the political parties and the states that conduct elections. Like in the United States, the Federal Electoral Committee, or the FEC, they call them, are responsible basically for one, monitoring the spending by politicians and parties, you understand, and then receiving returns from them. So when you take money from the public who supports you, you report. When you spend, you report. So you have states conduct their elections and announce their results. That's why when you're watching an election happening in America, it's the networks that are calling the results. Not one behemoth called INEC or Federal Election Commission. Now, what that does is that it takes away this arrangement at the center. It takes it to different levels of administration, and there will be efficiency. But the flip side of the argument is that if you look at the elections conducted by state governments over the years, you see that the party in power will always win everything. Yeah, that's the starting point. As we begin to evolve and we practice more and do this more, things will change. No system starts perfectly.
All right, we'll still talk to Barrister and take comments because Nigerians are beginning to react. We'll take the feedback soon. But let's go back to Oyo State once again. We understand that Kazim Bolangwa is still standing by. Kazim, you want to give us a perspective on the cost implication economically on both the political parties and, of course, the electorate? Is Oyo State ready for us? All right, just to remind viewers that you can be a part of this conversation, feel free to interact with us on social media using the hashtag Galaxy Today or send SMS. Please don't call. We have various reactions right now. I am on the side of Mr. President. Why making issues where there are none? How does the PDP and others want criminal to be treated? Can we move forward, please? That's from Marshall. My question to the man in the studio, why can't Buhari give the same order against burnt INEC materials in some state and herdsmen killings or herdsmen killings? If he can do so, if he can be so passionate about ballot snatching, Nigerians are not fools. That's from BC, from Alagbado here in Lagos. All right, let's see if we can take more comments this morning. All right. Oyo is still standing by. Once again, Kazim Bolangwa, I asked a question before. Let me repeat that. What are your perspectives concerning the cost of this postponed election economically on the electorate and the political parties?
The election economically has affected us drastically in the sense that, you know, everyone wasn't actually ready to go to work because it is believed that there's curfew and you are meant to use that advantage to exercise your civic responsibility. But eventually, not even in the eve, very early, we heard the news that, okay, it's not going to be possible for us to vote anymore. So eventually, that day has been cancelled. Only airline alone lost 290 million or thereabout in just a day. Look at how that has affected Nigeria GDP. You see, so if you have to look at other sectors, you know that apart from economic effect, okay, because of course this is going to happen 3 times now, which means that we are going to be putting our economic transactions on hold for 3 weeks. 1 has gone, 2 more to come, instead of just 2 weeks. Are you getting me now? So now, apart from the economic cost, there is consequential cost. Consequential cost in the sense that what we have actually lost cannot be regained anymore. Okay, there is reputational cost because, of course, in the eye of the whole world now, Nigeria is actually not a country that knows what she's doing. Because, of course, again, it has even sold us badly to the world because even investors will be afraid that how do I go and invest in a country that is not sure of whatever they do. Our electoral calendar is not appropriate enough, is not dependable enough, and as a matter of fact, it is condemnable. And look at it, it's not as if INEC shouldn't be ready. I heard the CPS of the INEC chairman say that it was because of the atmospheric condition. That was why they couldn't convey the sensitive material to where they're supposed to convey it to, which eventually which made them cancel or postpone the election day. To me, it makes no sense. It makes no sense because of the fact that you ought to have prepared for this. Do you actually mean that in the 33 states of Nigeria, there are no INEC offices that are dependable enough that you can keep sensitive materials? Look at that. Then how is INEC independent if you still have to, maybe within 24 hours to election proper, you have to now begin to send sensitive materials to respective destinations? What if, okay, now see what happened. It shows that there was never a plan B. It shows that their plans was not foolproof, therefore it wasn't infallible. Because if it was foolproof and therefore infallible, they will not be saying that, okay, it's on the eve of election that they will now begin to send sensitive materials. Therefore, it wasn't infallible because
So we have to take other inputs, please, very quickly, in just 30 seconds.
Is that? Repeat the question, please.
All right, I am afraid that's as much as we can take from our end. In Oyo State, we're speaking with Kazim Bolang, a public affairs analyst, and he was giving us a perspective on the cost implication on the rescheduled polls. We will join other correspondents in a bit. Mr. Barrister, how much is the worth of a life? Is it right for a person to kill? Don't we have laws? Remember 2011 of what happened to souls? That was from...
Did the president ask anybody to be killed?
All right, thanks to Barrister Adigba. What happens to Obasanjo when he said his election was do or die? Some elite in Nigeria are myopic. That is from Shego. All right, Mr. President has just spoken as a leader with clean mind. Snatching ballot papers is a criminal offense against humanity. It should be responded to accordingly. And we will take Kolawole Omoniyi. He is a public affairs analyst, and he is joining us from Kano State. Before we do that, we'll still remind you that you can be a part of this conversation. Feel free to interact with us on social media using the hashtag Galaxy Today. You can also send us an SMS. If you have comments, feel free to do so. The number is now on the screen. Kano is ready for us. Kolawole Omoniyi, many thanks for joining us on Galaxy Today as we get more updates concerning the polls. From Kano State right now, are the people geared towards the election for Saturday? Do you think they are really excited about it as they were before, or is there a bit of apathy in Kano State?
He's gone.
Of the Kano residents from you concerning the rescheduled polls, looking at Saturday, do you see them coming out en masse to go to polls?
The postponement is no longer news anyway. It had happened, and with the feel of the situation in Kano right now, we want to even believe that the postponement was a blessing in disguise for Kano State. And the reason for saying that, if you observe what transpired in the last 1-2 weeks in Kano State, the security situation was so tense then due to the intra and inter-party clashes. I mean, between the two major political parties in Kano, APC and PDP. But after the postponement, people were even thinking that they might not be able to go to the poll because of the events, the political clashes there. After the postponement, they are now hoping, because right now the situation is calm in Kano, security situation is normal. They are just waiting for Saturday to come so that every legible electorate will go to poll and exercise their franchise.
We can take from Kano State. We will go to Ogun State in a bit. But I just wanted Barrister Curtis to, just respond to some of those questions that were thrown at you.
One guy said, why didn't the president deploy or give similar order to protect INEC? I think the guy forgets that the INEC is an independent body. INEC has got to do their risk assessment and to say to Mr. President or whoever is the next in line authority to say, we think we have a big threat here and we want our materials given more security. The president didn't just sit down and make orders in vacuum. The president probably got a security report of some planning to snatch ballot boxes when he made those comments. So then when you talk about the herdsmen, of course there were all kind of actions against herdsmen. There were Operation Lafia Dole or all kind of so many military operations. So it's not about, the president does not micromanage the country. He's got people who work in different areas to manage. Now he speaks, to give a clear instruction on what should happen. How that happens is left for his lieutenants and people below. So it's not in everything. So the president will not sit down and say, look, going forward, just because a ballot box, some offices, INEC offices in Anambra, Abia, and Plateau. Okay, of course, it's going to make, the IGP is going to make provision for more security for them. But that has not become a national threat, as far as I'm concerned. So it's based on the risk assessment of INEC. INEC is an independent body conducting this election. And for those of you who think that INEC, you know, is just an apron string, it's a string of a party in power. If it were so, then the president can as well say to INEC, go ahead and declare me as a winner. There's no need for election. Okay,
please, I still want us to dwell on this INEC thing, seeing that we had a bit of this hiccup during the last election, and it's funny that it's coming up again during this election. I thought we learned from our past. Do you not think that INEC is supposed to, in a way or the other, try to fix this to make voting system very easy?
Look, you know, when I came in, I said to you that it's a bit of incompetence, it's a bit of the mindset of the average Nigerian politician who makes the job much more difficult than he ought to have been. But the reality is, in 2011, sensitive voting materials were already distributed to the branches of central bank in so many parts of the country, and they were secured. Do you understand? But do you know the only difference between 2011 and now?
No, what's the difference?
The outrage that accompanied this postponement is higher, much higher in decibel than what happened in 2011. Because in 2011, a lot of us believed that they had a genuine issue. Do you understand? But the people who were conducting the election then did not see it as a problem because it was a party in power. Okay, but now that they are outside of power, they are the one making, you know, so much noise about the postponement.
Okay, Barrister, you continue with your thoughts, but we have Ogun State standing by. Let's quickly take them as we begin to wrap up our thoughts. We have Comrade Abayomi Arabanbi joining us from Ogun State. He is the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in Ogun State. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today, Mr. Arabambi. Let's talk about the consequences of this postponement. You advise all political parties in your area in Ogun State. How would you say they have taken this postponement vis-a-vis preparation and cost implications?
Well, the political parties, all of us were together with the Red when the news came to us, and materials were being shared to various EO, before, the road postponement came to us. But by and large, I wouldn't want to apportion blame, to INEC over the postponement. That is as far as we are concerned, we could say, because it is better, done, than never. The man gave us reasons why the postponement, became necessary. Because of the weather. Whether he knew or not, I know that there are certain departments that are supposed to handle those matters, but the matter is gone now, and we have to move ahead to prepare for Saturday election now.
Comrade Arabambi, your reactions concerning the president's comment on the ballot box snatching and treatment they should be getting.
Yesterday, it is unconstitutional, to be very fair. It's unconstitutional for the president to give a direct order like that, because even if it meant well, security agencies will use that to hoodwink, the opposition. Because how do you explain what would be the, in the internal mind of a would-be trigger-happy soldier man or policeman that has certain issue to grind with?
All right, that is as much as we can take from Ogun State. We are having a bit of a connectivity issue. Comrade Abayomi Arabambi is the IPAC chairman. He joined us live from Ogun State. Many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on Galaxy today. One or two comments. So, Barrister Curtis will just wrap up here in Lagos. If the president issues this kind of statement to the army to deal ruthlessly with the Fulani herdsmen killing innocent Nigerians, it would have been acceptable. Barrister, why do you have to justify the president's statement about shooting ballot? He didn't say anything about shooting ballot boxes snatchers simply because a governor has made similar statement in the past. What about stray bullet and potentials of victimizing the innocent? Okay, all right.
I don't control stray bullets.
Please,
that's
can
why
we vote?
straight.
Okay, please, can we vote at anywhere with voter card? For right now, we cannot do that. You can only vote at the location where you got your permanent voter cards. Their president should also issue the same order to the Fulani herdsmen who go about raping and killing innocent farmers in their farms, from Savior Willie in Ibadan. All right. They're making security agencies judge, jury, and executioner. What is the proof that whoever is executed came to take ballot boxes? Knowing very well cameras are not allowed, taking the case to court makes it such that till it's proven you can't take a life. But Mr. Political Analyst says it's okay with it. Even Tinubu doesn't support that. My name is Emmanuel Ada from Iyanokpaja. That man there is an APC. We know them. They can never even speak the truth. Okay, as we begin to wrap up now.
I support APC.
Okay.
I don't hide behind the finger. But this is one country where people cannot even accept the truth just because it doesn't agree with their political preference. I try as much as possible to be objective on all issues. Nigerians are the problem. You know, they just want to go into every contest and win it, fair or by crude means. And if they don't do it, they'll do whatever it is it takes. So look, if we want to build a country for ourselves, then we have to come together. Because the things that unite us are much more than those that divide us. So long as we keep playing this false equivalency, playing politics here, take out of context whatever is said by anybody in power. Look, President Trump once said to policemen in America, you know, you treat nicely this MS-13 gang. When you arrest them, you say, bend down your head before you put them into your car and all that. He said, no, smash their head on your windows and all that. And there was an outrage. And he came out and said, listen, when these guys kill people, they also don't care about human lives. What the president is saying, if I understand what he's saying, and maybe the way he communicated is, look, don't go out there and snatch ballot boxes. And it's only those who are intending to snatch ballot boxes that should be afraid of the statement that the president has made.
All right, thank you so much. We are completely out of time. A lot of people are still sending more feedbacks and more comments, but we can't take that. But you can still continue with the conversation. Let it flow on social media. Remember, the hashtag is Galaxy Today. We'll also return tomorrow. You can also share more of your thoughts with us, as we'll be putting our focus specifically on reducing election violence. That's our show for today. A big thank you to Barrister Curtis Adiba, a political analyst, legal practitioner, for joining us on Galaxy Today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir. And all the way from Kano, Sokoto, Ogun, Ibadan, all the guests we had with us, a very big thanks for making it a complete show today. We'll do it same time again tomorrow. We'll see you. I'm Uche Onyekuluje. Bye for now.
And I'm Justin Akademia. We'll return again 10 a.m. bright and early. Bye for now.